Our next guest on the Any Given Run Day podcast is an ultra runner, two-time Ironman, including appearing in the World Championships, has twice competed in the Speed Project, and just a few weeks after doing it a second time, going from LA to Vegas, she set a PB in the London Marathon, all while doing a Masters in Sports and Exercise Psychology. Megan Hamill, welcome to this week's episode of the Any Given Run Day podcast. How are you getting on?
Thank you very much. I'm so happy to be here. Yeah, I'm good. I went for a run around Loch Brea, literally about an hour ago. I finished up, so I'm buzzing. It's such a nice evening. So yeah, all good. Nice to be here.
But Megan, what do you do in your spare time? You mustn't have a lot of it.
I don't have any spare time. Yeah, no, literally running. Like I just run every day. Trail running, everything. I prefer anything over a marathon, but I'm happy with anything.
Megan, everyone listening to this and what we have seen from a lot of people and what we're seeing lately is we hear stories from you and it's like ultra marathons, Ironman, all of that. Where did it start? Did it start with, I'm just going to run 50k today, or where did your sporting running journey start?
Definitely didn't start there, although I did do 50k on a whim around Battersea Park, if you know it. We just did lots of it. Honestly, like the things I've done kind of are a bit unhinged, but we'll start at the start. No, I actually was just thinking there when I was making my dinner. It actually started when I was younger. My mum so we lived in a house up a hill and there was a shop at the end of it. And my mum used to tell me to go down to the shop and get milk and bread every night. And she used to time me from the porch and watch me run down and back up. So it was like a self competition every night. But yeah, no, it started, I was quite young. I was in P7 and that's primary 7. So I was about 10 or 11. And at that time, my dad was actually in a freak accident at work. And sorry, that was a bit dramatic there to start off. But yeah, he was in an accident at work. But that was actually the catalyst to my running journey. I took part in the marathon in my school, so my primary school, and that was 2 laps of a football pitch and I won it. And that was like, that was just like the chain reaction then set off. And I really haven't stopped running since. So yeah, I'm very grateful that I got into it at such a young age, but it was, it's been a journey, but it's been good.
when you go from that, because a lot of people now, we've seen a huge shift in running and running over the last couple of years has become very sociable, very cool, very unelitist. When you were growing up, obviously, when you get through that age, 11, 12, you move on into second level school, where sport can be an identity. Did you get involved in athletics at that point? Was that where you were like, I'm actually a runner? Forget about everything else. Running is my thing.
Not really. So no, I did. So I got involved in cross country in school. I was part of, we had a team, there were 4 of us girls that kind of competed every year in the local cross country competitions. And then we would qualify then for the Ulsters. And that was more like, there was a bigger pool of runners there, much better runners. And we did that every year. So even at that point, I don't think I would have considered myself as a runner. I honestly still don't. I think that's a mental thing though. I don't know. I just love getting out in the evenings and going for a run. I don't take it too seriously. And I think maybe calling yourself a runner or like an athlete or something maybe adds a different tone to it. Potentially. In my head, it does anyway. So yeah, I enjoy just getting out there and moving for everything else that it gives us too.
Megan, you're definitely a runner. But at one stage, I was listening to you on a podcast and I'm not good with dates. I'm not good with hearing. So I don't know if I got this timeline on this right, but like
not
very
good seeing either. Come on,
I'm not good with seeing. I spent 4 grand on my eyes. I'm actually all right with seeing. I'm 20/20 still.
You've only got another few senses to discuss.
So you were in uni and you decided to sign up for a half Ironman out in Turkey. Am I right so far?
Yeah.
In October for it, and you decided to do in October and to do it in November was the Ironman, the 70.3, a month away. And I've heard a quote, you're afraid of deep water, and I've also seen articles on you online that you learned how to swim through YouTube.
Correct.
Do I
Yeah.
have a timeline that so within 28 days you signed up, you couldn't swim, and you went onto YouTube to learn how to swim before doing your first half Ironman?
Yeah.
How do you watch the videos underwater? I can't
Well, I'm
do
trying
it.
to fix the car. I'm like, go back 10 seconds. Where's that nut? Back 10 seconds again. Like, how exactly? How are you doing? I have so many questions here, Megan. Eric's one's probably the best one so far. How?
I know, honestly. I don't know what made me sign up to the half Ironman, but I decided, okay, maybe the full would be too much, in the first go, and I wanted to do one soon. So I found Turkey. I saw that it was a flat course, and I was in my final year of uni at the time. And if you kind of look back through Instagram, you'll see posts, and I'm like standing in front of a wall, and the wall has 28 post-it notes, and it was exactly 28 days I had between signing up and the race. And underneath the post-it notes were like, you love a dreamer. Like, I was like posting up like the fastest women's times and all, like trying trying to see if I could get there. Anyway, also in the post-it notes were like the length of a pool,
Yeah.
and stroke times, whatever. And then I had like inspirational quotes at the top. Honestly, looking back, I'm like, God, I could do a bit of that now. I don't know what got in there. But anyway, yeah, no, I taught myself how to swim in my uni pool. It wasn't until afterwards that I realized, the contrast. So I'd been on holidays with my friends a few months before that, and they were saying afterwards, like, you literally wouldn't get into the sea with us because you were afraid of deep water. So yeah, I used YouTube. I probably shouldn't say this, but like I would watch people in the pool. So I would just like look at their form, which is maybe slightly inappropriate, but I just needed to pick up
It
anything.
was, it
I
was the binoculars that made it weird, Megan. It was the binoculars that made it weird.
But yeah, just force people to come with me and give me any wisdom, and went to Turkey by myself. I actually put the bike that I rented off the uni's triathlon club into a cardboard box in the bag shop. They were like, do you want a cardboard box? Yep, no bother. Taped that up and sent myself off to Turkey and did the half Ironman.
Before we get into Turkey and half Ironman and what came from that, someone who can't swim, Megan, would you recommend the YouTube's the way to go to learn how to swim?
No, I think Ironman has actually blown up recently, and there's quite a lot of good swim coaches out there, especially in Ireland. So no, go to a swim coach. Don't sign up to an Ironman if you can't swim. That is really silly. But yeah, it is what it is. Did it anyway.
One thing we've talked before in the podcast, and Eric, you've mentioned this as well when you did your Ironman, there's a big difference between swimming, and this is where I'm in my territory, but swimming in the pool and swimming in the sea. And a couple of months before, you're afraid to go into the sea with your friends, and you're swimming in the pool. What was that roll-on start into the Ironman, taking it all in, and all of a sudden you're into the sea, a thing you're afraid of? Like, how did that go?
I think if, like everything that happened in Ireland, in the Cork Ironman, which is really traumatic and devastating for anyone involved, when like two people lost their lives, and it's all right to look back on this and be like, God, you were crazy for doing that. But in hindsight, like, I would never recommend anyone doing that.
Yeah.
It's very naive. But so I was in the queue for the like bike track that they do in an Ironman just before the race. There's like loads of tents, and you can go up and get different things. And there was a man in front of me, and I'm still friends with him. He is amazing. He's a proper Ironman athlete, and he kind of looked at me and I don't think people mean to be kind of judgmental in the Ironman space, so some people can be. And he kind of looked at me like, God. And then I was like, yeah. He was like, because he just saw the bike that I was using, and he was like, is this your first Ironman then? And I was like, yeah, it is. It's also my first time swimming in the sea. And he was like, what? But anyway, I did the race. He actually waited for me with his friends at the end. We made such good friends. And then he took me, like, we both swam then the next day the full distance of a full Ironman swim. And that was 3.8 kilometers. And like, it was so nice. And that's the thing with sport and running especially, is that people just want the best for each other. But yeah, so we did the full distance, came away from that, went for dinner that night by myself, and was sitting opposite like a family. And I was like, I'll just say hey. So started speaking away to them, and I was like, yeah, I'm actually going to do a full Ironman. Like, why not? I've done a half. I'm going to do a full. And
Yeah.
the dad looked at me, and it was his son that had done the half. And his dad looked at me like, God, you'd need, and they were Irish too, and it was even worse. And he was like, you'd need to change your gender if you want to do a full Ironman. And I was like, you
Oh,
did not just say that to me. Like,
Oh.
like what? So yeah, I was like kind of taken aback, but you'd laugh it off, and um, I just it kind of just lit a fire inside me, and then I booked to Austria.
I don't even know what context you would say that to anyone. Like, as in, you've kind of caught me off guard because it's like, well, you have for starters,
yeah.
I'll have the Volivant, and by the way, change your gender if you want to do an. Like, how does that become a factor considering so many female athletes are doing Ironman and
Mm.
World Tri and T100s, and you name the brand now, that there's phenomenal female athletes getting a lot of recognition for taking on this. I know it lit a fire under you, but how do you process that? I can't process it.
At the time, because I was by myself, I just kind of took it on the chin and thought I was like, I was quite angry because obviously my page and stuff is all about empowering women in sport. And I think maybe if I said it to someone else who maybe didn't have like that mission going already, they might have maybe took it as truth, like, oh,
Yeah,
maybe
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
being too ambitious here. But yeah, I don't know. It's a really obviously a very backwards mindset to have, and I don't think if he was on social media seeing all the amazing things women are doing in sport that he would have made the comment. But yeah, like just so silly.
Yeah, I don't know, and I like that as well. Well, it's a good thing a certain other individual wasn't there being told that to be a pint thrown at him. But it's like there's yeah, I really don't understand how you can say that to someone who's sitting on their own. First of all, is a girl who's just completed a half, and then to just put that cap on it. And that's one thing. It's probably why it's caught me so off guard is because you've said a couple of minutes earlier, anyone involved in the sport, like you've had an interaction with someone who's like, let's go swim the full distance so you have a taste of what it's like. Let's see if we can progress here. And in my experience in triathlon, marathons, that is most of the people involved, as in, this is the point one. There's 99.9% of the time people involved in the sport or around the sport are like, oh my God, which Ironman are you going to pick? How long are you going to
Mhm.
train for? So that's why I find it quite different. Is this an anomaly in the journey, or through your page and through your lens, are you seeing this a lot?
I'd say it's an anomaly for me, but probably not for a lot of other women. I'm lucky in the fact that I am so kind of just strong minded, and I'm not sorry about taking up space in the sport. I share my weight gain journey, which is quite a unique stance, especially in the running space. Most women are trying to be smaller, to be faster.
Yeah.
And, when we watch the Olympics, without realizing it, we're looking at the women's races and we're admiring their bodies. And there's so much that goes into being a woman in sport now. You have to look good, you have to perform good. And my page and a lot of other girls too now, we're kind of being that voice of, like reality. We don't have to be this perfect shape or size to perform in sport and to show up in sport.
You had a great post in that you talked about like your training journey. You talked about gaining, you split screen on it. It's like I gained 5 kilos during the journey, and it's like you never see a post like that. And then when you're talking about your fueling and stuff, and we talked before, like we've had bad races because we just didn't fuel and stuff right. And it's
Mm-hmm.
so important. And the stuff you've done that we're going to talk about, like you're literally running for days in some cases, and across different states and all the rest. You have to have, like, from a performance standpoint, like that fueling and food. You can't be thinking any other than this has to come in to fuel myself to get through this.
Oh, big time. And even there recently, just with my London Marathon prep, the amount of food that you consume in a marathon journey is crazy, and you have to
Yeah.
constantly be on it. You're thinking after a hard session, I need to get carbs in and protein in within within the 60-minute window. I don't even give it 3 hours. I know there's so much research to say 3 hours is fine, but I give it 60 minutes, and you just have to constantly be thinking about that. And I do think that if I had focused even slightly on trying to be smaller, to be faster, I would have got injured. I would have had a bone stress injury because my mileage was probably the highest it's ever been. And I see Maeve Brannigan. I don't know if you've had her on the podcast, but
Yeah.
she's
Yeah, we had it.
amazing, such an amazing example for women. And she was saying, I think it was in your podcast, I did listen to it. She was saying how like she's now had to reframe her thinking that like she belongs on the start line beside these women that are just so much smaller. And look, sure, she just came second in the Dublin City Half. So yeah, it's definitely a mental shift that women need to experience. Like, and then like after that, when you continue the journey, the injuries just don't come up as often.
Do you see many women outreach to you? So when you put up a post, and I ask because we put up posts, we see the insights, when we get guests on and we see what trends, what doesn't trend. When you came out and said, I put on that 5 kilos, did
Mm.
women outreach to you to be like, thank God, thank God someone is saying it, I feel more comfortable with myself. Do you get feedback from these kind of posts, Megan, or can it be met with hostility, even from the female perspective of, I don't agree or disagree? Or what way does it work for you in terms of the feedback you get from being a good advocate for good nutrition and fueling correctly?
A lot of the time, it's women asking me how I got my period back, how I've gained the weight, like they're struggling with their body image. So it's a lot of questions coming in and questions that they maybe don't feel comfortable enough to ask their friends. But like sometimes I would have girls that I went to school with who only knew me as this like stick. Like I was having to go to the hospital to get weighed in every week. I was having a food log. I don't think people like see, what maybe my family saw. I was really not well. And um yeah, I think once you've kind of been through that, a weight gain journey isn't as scary. Because you gain so much when you gain weight. It's like you gain a social life, a sense of humor, like ambition, goals, longevity in sport. And that's what like skinniness can never give you. So yeah, I do get girls that I went to school with, saying, love your page, like I think you're amazing. And like I'd never understand it. I'm like, I'm literally a melt. Like I'm just posting my runs. I'm posting a story with my Strava overlay. Like like I'm so annoying. Like even now tonight I'm up in the mountains and my housemate's only home from work and she's like I'm out there like running before she's even in the door and they're probably thinking you're a melt. But whenever like they said, I just don't really understand it. But now I've got to this age after 10 years of posting and I look back and I'm thinking, I'm so glad that I was that voice for girls like to see and hear and know that they can, grow out of the smaller clothes.
Is that getting harder, Megan? With I want to be careful I say this because there's is it like okay, like you got your Ozempics and stuff like that coming in now, and in a way, there's definitely a place for them for like I've heard
Well,
like
those who are struggling. Yeah, those who are
strugglers
struggling
struggling,
to manage
genuinely
control.
struggling.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
they
yeah.
need to undergo surgery and stuff and all the rest. And then it's a little bit. Some people might say, well, it's a little bit easier. Or whatever. I don't know because it's something that's never crossed my mind. I've been lucky enough that way. Have you seen it online because your online presence now? Have you seen a shift in that going the other way, like you would see in, I don't know, TV and stuff like that?
Um, it's hard to, it's hard to kind of say confidently what's happening with the Ozempic because you just can't assume and you don't never know why
Yeah.
someone's on it or what their circumstances are. And it's changed lives. One of my friends, their dad's on it and he's so much more active now and whatever. But it does feel like we've taken this step backwards on social media. We were in such a good place in that there was a lot of content for the younger girls that are getting their iPhones, that are getting on Instagram to come on and see like these bigger bodies in the gym and just see like women of all shapes and sizes being confident in their bodies. That's where we were like this time last year. And then all of a sudden we're now back to like skinny talk and girls now trying to be smaller no matter what like they don't care the cost, like at whatever cost is what I'm trying to say. Like they
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
really
Yeah,
take
yeah,
into
yeah.
consideration like anything. It's like be skinny over everything,
Yeah,
that's all
the
that
side
matters.
effects don't matter. Life socially, it doesn't matter. It's to meet this
Yeah.
image. And there has been, like, you look at studies of when they give kids phones for the first time, it's very prescribed, but there's a study and they give, the ladies will be sent towards body image within seconds. And these are
Mm.
like through natural algorithms. The men are always sent towards all sorts of violence, games, guns, cars. It's very split, but they end up there in, like, from a blank profile very quickly. So the pressure, even from a young age, is really, really scary. And social media is an influence. But having said that, running and the great work you've done on the running side, that's influenced a lot of people to get out, lace up their shoes. I know you say I'm a male because I keep talking about it, but that talking about it is encouraging people to take on the runs, take on the outdoors. You do a lot on your own as well, which is quite terrifying for a lot of ladies. How do you find going out, exploring, getting on your shoes, your comfort level from that side of the house?
Taking precautions is essential, and to be fair, I've probably scared myself into having to take precautions. Like, I've done so much solo travel, and like, I'll go running, hiking, but I'll do anything by myself. But I was living at home, like back in with my parents when I moved back from London last year, and I just went out one night, and I was training for the Belfast Marathon at that time, and I just went out and ran 30k, and it got dark, like, and I didn't tell anyone how far I was running or where I was. And I was on a path and it was dark, and I was thinking this was actually really stupid, and especially with like the rise in violence against women in the north of Ireland especially, it's like that's a really silly thing to do. So, you have to get the balance right. It's like be empowered, go out, enjoy yourself by yourself, but also, like, you can bring a friend, and you need to let people know where you are and go in daylight. You can set up a thing on your iPhone that kind of rings and sets an alarm off if you're in danger. Um, there's just like a million things that you can do to try and be safer. But yeah, I think I'm proud that I can go off and do things by myself, no matter what it is. But also, I think, yeah, I still have a lot to learn.
What point in this journey, and I know we've touched on some of the more sensitive sides, but bring it back to the running side of things for you. We've completed the half. We've told we are going to do a full. You were told, no, you won't. And yes, we will. Moving on to that, you've picked yourself up, you've motivated yourself, and then you're getting into the next phase of what you want. Where did the journey take you from there?
So I did Ironman Austria in June that year. I qualified for the Ironman World Championships then in the October. So that was
Megan,
my
I'm
focus.
gonna stop you for a split second because
Sean has
we're
info.
after talking about how mentally strong you are. You had no business qualifying from that World Championship for how your cycle went. You had no business. If half the stuff happened to me that happened to you on that cycle, Megan, I would never got on the bike again, let alone do what you did in that one. So what happened on the bike in Austria?
See how we set you up there, Megan. We set you up.
I was actually just not even going to mention it. So
The power of Instagram and Sean's ability to look through it.
So I got to Austria, stayed in a hostel, and was in a hostel, turns out, with everyone was an Ironman athlete. And like, this was my proper intro to Ironman. They had supplements, they had a million different carb sources, they had everything, like all the gear and everything. And I just rocked up with
Your
like
toothbrush and your
hand
bike.
luggage. But I
Anyone got
did
any
the
toothpaste?
oh my god, it gets worse actually. I rented a bike off an Austrian man, didn't communicate with him because I didn't have any data, and he was
Was
like,
it penny farthing?
he was like, I'm just not going to give you this bike if you don't message me back. Finally got Wi-Fi, could message him, and he just left the bike at the hostel. But anyway, I got the bike, went to the race, got them to fix the saddle at the like expo thing. Just not
Yeah.
fix it, sorry, like adjust it to my height. Did a wee spin on the bike at like 200 meters, just check it over, and then hung it up on the bike rack and went to bed. Got up, was doing Ironman Austria, grand swim was perfect conditions. Got on the bike, 50k in, something dropped, but I was in like a massive group of cyclists, and it's so hard to know where the thing dropped or who it dropped from. So I kind of looked down. I was like, it's not this bike because everything looks fine on this bike. Kept going. And I got to about 60k and the saddle was kind of moving like side to side slightly. And I was thinking, God, this is a really good feature on this bike. Like
Moves
I
with
can
your body.
twist. Literally, I can turn and twist. This is brilliant. Anyway, kept going and this was part of the story I actually never tell. I just say like, oh, it came off and I kept going. But I kind of like was going around the corner. The saddle fell off. I fell off, but not far. Like, it wasn't going very fast. And I kind of got it back up and tried to like Velcro it around with one of the bike bags. Didn't work. Was a silly idea. Kept going, picked up some speed, and that was it. I kind of was going downhill and around the corner, and I just completely flew off the bike. The saddle flew off to the other side of the road, and I was just there like, what has just happened? So anyway, I kind of grabbed it, and what I'd done is I'd written down all of the aid stations on the sticker that was left over from like the helmet sticker and all the other stickers that they give you. I'd written down all the aid stations and all of the bike mechanic stations, and I put that onto the bar on the bike and kind of like had it wrapped around. So I knew where every aid station was. So I saw that one was like 500 meters away, got the saddle in one hand, got the bike in the other, and just ran to the like volunteer aid station thing. I was like, look, all I need is a screw. Like, the screws come out of the saddle. It would be perfect if you just had one. She was like, no, but I'll bring the bike mechanic. So I'm just standing there like, right. So I like kind of I stopped my bike. So I stopped the race on my watch. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm just going to wait for them to come and see if it's fixable. Whenever I'd fallen, like, my whole side was cut and bruised and my elbow was a bit bashed and the blood was coming out of the elbow, but like it wasn't bad, it was just scraped.
Right, scrapes, yeah.
And I was kind of just waiting there, waited for about 20-25 minutes and was like, look, where is the bike mechanic? Like, is there any sign? And she was like, no, I haven't called the bike mechanic, I've called you an ambulance. And I
They're
was
not
there
gonna
like,
fix me saddle.
I was there like, no, like I did not. So training for an Ironman, you have no social life. You like don't see your friends. All you're focusing on is training, and it becomes your whole personality. So I was like, I didn't do all that just to like stop here. So I got the saddle so unhinged. Like I got the saddle, put it on the bike. What do you call it? Like whatever the post, the bike post, and balanced on the saddle.
Jeez.
Balance on the saddle for the rest of the climb, and it was uphill like, and I just had to sit on the saddle. It was honestly the hardest thing I've ever done, but yeah, got it finished.
Jesus, that's and not only did you get it finished, then you went to the awards ceremony the next day, and you got a huge surprise there.
Yeah, went to the award ceremony, was sitting down recording people, being like, one day this will be me, like going up to collect their things with all their family and friends, like videoing them and them carrying their big like national flag. And then the way it worked was there were like roll down slots. So if people had already qualified, then the slots rolled down and one rolled down to me and she said my name and I was like, and so the rule is if they say it 3 times and you don't go up, then you lose it. So she said it once and I was like, I have heard something. I'm like hallucinating here. And then she said it again and I was like, oh, I'm not going up there. She's got it wrong. And she said it the 3rd time and I was like, well, I need to go up. Like I can't just let this go.
Yeah.
So I went up, rang one of the girls that was in my school or was in my uni and she had qualified, rang her, rang my coach, asked my mum, and my mum was just like, do whatever makes you happy. Because you have to decide there and then if you want a slot for the World Championships. And I was like, well, you're only young once, so I accepted it and yeah, went to Kona in October.
My God. Oh, well, I suppose like Kona is probably one of the hardest courses in the world. They compare to Lanzarote and can compare to it. But if you get to do it with a saddle, you know, you're like, when you think about it, you're like, man, that's half the battle. I could probably take on a world championship. Yeah. Did that,
exactly.
did that drive you to go? Because when we get into Ironman or you get into running, it's the shoes will make you quicker, the bike will make you quicker, the carb gel will make you quicker, this gel will make you quicker. Everything is about shaving off the seconds. Now, this is the second bike you've rented in a series. Was this a point where you were like, maybe I'm going to upgrade my equipment?
Yeah, it definitely was. I
And they got you. That's when it all done. Yeah.
no, no. I actually, yeah, I kind of went home and I got one on Facebook Marketplace that someone local was selling, so I got really lucky. But I didn't buy a TT bike because I didn't have enough time to practice, and you
Yeah.
need to be really comfortable on those to kind of, I don't know, to use them so you don't fall off and get injured. Because they are quite difficult, I've heard. But yeah, I did get a bike for the World Championships.
So a year after all these sticky notes and you can't swim, you are at, as far as I know a little bit about Ironman, like the mecca of rate of courses for an Ironman in Kona in Hawaii for the Ironman World Championships. You finally got a bike and you're at this starting line. Like this is in 12 months, you're at the peak already in terms of the event that people would dream to be at. Like I can't even imagine what was going through your head. At least someone there in the crowd at the start probably went, she's probably done an Ironman or two in her life to this stage. It's not her first.
I know, it was nuts. I actually got my sister, she was there with me in Kona, and that was just incredible, like having someone at the finish line. So yeah, it still is, and probably will always be the best experience of my life. Like the swim was like an aquarium. You looked down, saw everything. It was honestly
Wow.
incredible.
And is it as hot as they say? Like I've heard about it. I don't read many books. So there's one book I read on Ironman. It's called The Iron War, and they talk about the lava trails and they talk
Yeah.
about the climbs and stuff, and it just sounds phenomenal up by the coast and stuff as well. It's just
Yeah, the cycle, you can see the heat radiating off like the lava fields either side of you. And the climbs, it was really tough, like really tough. Um, yeah, amount of people stopping too to just like take a breath and get themselves gathered again was unreal too. But yeah, it was tough.
you've done a lot. We're about to get into like your ultra runs and stuff like this that you've done, and I want to talk about this speed project thing because it baffled me and Eric when we first heard about it. But just before we jump off the Ironman thing, when you did Kona, did you feel like box ticked? I want to get into more ultra running now, or what was your thought process after doing the World Championships?
After I did Kona, I tried to do Barcelona Marathon the March after. So no, after I finished Kona, I actually got home and started my job in London. Then I had like a couple of days turnaround and just moved and kind of had to start life. Like, it's like, right,
Yeah.
time to actually, be an adult.
Mm.
So yeah, then I started working and tried to do Barcelona Marathon then in the March and got injured. And then that whole year, it was just rehabbing and getting a strong base then for everything that came after, which obviously I didn't know was going to happen at the time. But that rehab journey was like the pits. I had just moved to London, couldn't go to run clubs, couldn't make any friends through running, didn't know how to socialize otherwise because you don't like when you're
Mm.
in that
Yeah.
in that scene for so long. Um, but yeah, it literally made me the runner that I am, and I'm not in like in a snobby way, but like a rehab journey really does teach you everything about your body, and it just makes you a better runner, even though it is really difficult.
What got you out of rehab? Was there a race or event you're like, I need to get through this, get back to this? Because at that time you could have went, you know what? Like people, they're going through rehab, like this is not working or setbacks and stuff. It's like, I'm not a runner, and they go on to something else. Like, but obviously you
Hmm.
stuck it through. Was there an event or a race at the end of that proverbial light at the end of the tunnel? You're like, I am aiming for this to get back out there, or was it something different for you?
There was no race at that point, and I actually fell in my ultra in September, just gone there, and that was a UTMB race. That was my first UTMB race. I fell and I actually damaged my knee, but didn't realize at the time. Got back and couldn't run. The knee just like I had done damage to it, but just hadn't got it seen too soon enough. So that was like my second rehab journey, and both times it's just been to get back to running like after work. It's never been like, oh, need to get back, need to do a sub 3:30 marathon, need to do a half marathon or whatever. Like it's never about the PBs. It's just like I need that feeling. Running for me is a space where I can leave everything at the door and come back as a new person. And like, we hear that so much, like it changes our mood and it makes our lives better. And also like the people that you meet through running and not being able to do that is like, it sucks. So yeah, a rehab journey for me is, I enjoyed actually this one, like the most recent one, because I knew what was coming out the other side. I knew that it was going to be so much stronger. But yeah, it's always just about like, I would say lightly, running is like a coping mechanism for me, but not like, I'm not addicted to running, and I've been to therapy, like a lot of therapy over my life. So like, it's not really coping mechanism, but you know what I mean? It just adds so much to your life, and yeah, we're so lucky to be able to do it.
But it adds so much in the case of even myself and Sean are going through our rehab journeys. And I find, and not that it's a coping mechanism, but everyone around me wants me to go back running because they're like,
Mhm.
you're far happier when you're out training. You're far less stressed. Like there's that feeling even in myself where I realize I just want to train. I just want to get back running. And I know that the first portion of that journey is really crap because you're like, oh my God, I'm so unfit. And I used to run at this pace and I used to run at that pace. But the feeling that comes back with it, and even one of the things is energy levels. Like I
Yeah.
find my energy levels are actually rock bottom now after what would be a kind of a regular day. Come 5 o'clock, I'm like, I'm wrecked. Whereas when I'm running 60K weeks or 7K weeks, I'm like, right, what else are we doing? What else can I do in this next hour? Like I just find me in general am functioning, performing better when I run. And that's the frustrating part of not getting back. And I suppose, as you said, the therapy element of after a certain, for me, it's about 6 kilometers when I stop screaming at myself. And then you enter this meditation phase of you solve all the problems, you don't think, you sing along, you do whatever it is in that phase. That to me happens with longer distance. Is that another element as to why you like going longer? Is it you like being out your own thoughts for a long period of time? Because it's not for everyone, the distance element. It's hard. Sean has done it. He loves it. I don't know if I could ever do it because a marathon to me is just long enough. But it's it's something I always want to try and do, and maybe Donady
Mhm.
50K next year is where I'll dip my toe into that. But for you, what brought you into the longer distance?
So for me, the longer distance, like that's where I find so much peace in running, and I can run and just, I feel like I'm meditating, and I
Yeah.
would really struggle to like open up Calm or one of those apps and start meditating, but
Yeah.
I get
Mm.
that same feeling when I'm like 30K into a long run. And I don't get motivated by times, or like, it's great that I like, you have it and you can celebrate it when it does happen, like when you get a PB, but it's just that meditative like space that you fall into when you've no music in and you can just hear footsteps, and it's just like, just peaceful. So yeah, that's like, I guess what I would crave. I wouldn't say I have the calmest mind, and I think I come across on social media as this like airy fairy, like soulful like a person. But I think with anyone that would run ultra endurance events, you're doing it for a reason, and most of the time it's because like our heads are fried and the race is just, where we can find the pace, and then that it kind of like, you can then translate that into real life where you're having a really stressful time or you're going through the absolute ringer, like everything's falling to pieces around you, but you can almost remember that you're in control and that you're capable of, getting through it and getting through it with your head held high. So yeah, I don't know, I guess it just translates for me, and that's why I would keep going out. But yeah, it's tough when the fatigue builds. It's not easy doing ultra training.
Did you just gloss over 3 minutes ago doing that run where you hurt your knee, 113 kilometers through the Alps? Because ultra is anything over 42, Megan. So I don't know what people are thinking, but
He got you again, Megan. He
113
got you
kilometers. I'm
again.
writing that one. I'm writing that one.
That's twice, Megan. You
Yeah.
thought you'd learn by now. Just give us a story.
Megan, start line. You're going over the Alps, 113. Was this your longest distance at the time?
Yeah, longest. And this was after the speed project.
this is after speed project. This is after your first speed project. I want to get to that second one. I also want to get to how you sign up to something like this mysterious race in the first place. But this is the longest you're about to do. And I've never been to the Alps. I'm assuming it's not that flat. What are you thinking at the start line here?
So yeah, went over by myself again, and at the start line, what was I thinking? I was honestly buzzing. I was so excited to get into the mountains. So it was 6,600 meters of elevation gain. So it was
Holy
quite
shit.
hefty. Like it was a chunky one.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I wouldn't even do that in a helicopter. Would you stop, Megan?
Yeah, no, it was
Six
so I
kills.
really did enjoy. I actually really enjoyed the race up until the point where I fell, and then it was just like I just have to get through this. But the scenery was epic. There was a massive language barrier between, not just because of my accent, because of everyone there was just speaking French, and I am so ignorant that I don't have much French. So all we could do was run in silence beside each other. Like it was mainly men too, and honestly, it was so peaceful and so nice to just take in the scenery and kind of just go at my own pace. I was using Alter, like Connor's Speed Dust,
Yeah.
and it was a saving grace for me just to get through it all. But obviously with the knee, the descents were really tricky because I only had one knee really. Like that, the left one was giving me bother, but I didn't really want to think about it. And then I was overworking the right one, so it was just like a recipe for disaster. But I got it done anyway, and the final peak was the toughest thing I've ever done. Like Kona was a piece of cake compared to the final peak.
Wow.
Like it was gale force winds. We were all in single file. I would say we were climbing for at least 4 hours. I'd need to look back on my Strava, but it was
Wow.
like, I swear to God, it was like a straight, like completely vertical, it felt like. And me and this girl were like, I actually don't know if I can do this. Like, and that's the first time I've ever said in a race, I actually don't think I can finish this. But anyway, we got to the top and we were all a bit shook. Like we were just thinking how was that even real? And then we were obviously had the descent. And then coming down in that final descent, like I assumed just from looking at the race profile that we would kind of get to the bottom of the mountain and you'd be finished. But we got to the bottom of the mountain and I just looked down and I could just see like this massive reservoir, like humongous reservoir thing with like headlamps all around it. So I could see what I had ahead of me. And it was like another, at that point, I think it was another 40K.
Jeez.
And like the sleep deprivation, like no sleep. Yeah.
So like most of this 6,000
no
meters
sleep
is in the first 870 kilometers.
Yeah, literally.
Oh my God.
But yeah, so in that final stretch, there was a boy behind me, and kind of the thing that you do in a race and in an ultra race especially is like you just stand in and you look behind you and say, look, you can go ahead. I'm obviously like holding you up. Go on. And I like looked behind me. I was like, look, you can go ahead. And he was like, no, like I'm hallucinating. So I need you in front of me so that I can get to the finish line.
Wow.
God.
So yeah, we got to the finish line anyway, but it was.
And Megan was told there was no one behind her
so
the whole
tough.
time. It was actually her that was hallucinating. I've seen this movie before.
Megan, can I ask on this? Because, like, my wife hears this story, and the first thing she's going to say is, see, Megan go off the Alps and do this big long run by herself, doesn't need help or assistance get through it. Because I've done a few, like, not that, no work at all. I've done a few long runs. I've broke 100 kilometers a couple of times, but every time I've been in a heap. And like she's done like everything short of putting the seatbelt around me to get me to the car and the way back home again. But you're going abroad to do these things, and like I can only imagine how I would feel after. I don't know how to get back to the hotel. Like he picked me up after the first time I broke 100 kilometers. And I found it hard to put my feet into the car. Like, and he's like, I don't know how you're going to get the house. You're on your own, pal. You just pushed me out of the car. But like, how did you, how you going through all, and not only after this, like, I got to get myself back to the hotel, hostel, cleaned up and all the rest, and away you go. And you're over there by yourself. Like, that's an extra challenge in itself.
No, to be fair, that experience kind of like I wised up a lot in that experience and realized that you can't be an island. Like you actually can't do everything by yourself. And it's great that you can do some things, but that is something that you should always bring support for. So anyway, yeah, I luckily there was a girl in front of me and she was from England and she was the first person I'd met that had like English as her first language. And I was like, how are you getting home? And like usually I wouldn't. Like usually I'd be too like almost too proud to be like, oh, I don't need help. Like I'll just do it myself. But I was like, how do you get home? Because I honestly I'm gonna need some help.
I'm
So
goosed.
I got a lift with her. I got a lift with her dad and got to the apartment. But it was the next morning. Like I got in, went to bed, whatever, woke up and was like, oh no, like I have a photo of my knee,
A
like my
balloon.
two knees
Oh,
side by side, and it was honestly like massive.
Jeez.
It was completely swollen, completely bruised, and it was cut, and I obviously hadn't stopped to get it clean, so there was everything going on with it. And I just didn't know what to do, and I was kind of like, I can't walk, and I'm in the Alps. The nearest pharmacist is a 40-minute walk back into the wee town. I'm up, there's no lift. I'm up like 4 flights of stairs. I actually don't know what to do. My flight's tomorrow and I've no food in the apartment. And I honestly like just thought like at this point, what like I need survival skills to kick in here. Like what's the next step? So I had to very slowly just get myself
cut your leg off.
together and and I
Sorry,
literally just
Megan.
like
Different movie. Different movie.
Oh God.
no, I just limped up to the pharmacist and got myself sorted, but it was oh my days. You should have seen me. It was like a centimeter step at a time. It was
Oh,
comical.
Megan, what was the injury, if you don't mind me asking?
So the injury was I actually thought I'd torn my meniscus and I was convinced I had torn it. I got an MRI, everything was grand. It was just like there's bursa that sits under your kneecap and that
Yeah.
was really inflamed. So it wasn't even there wasn't much damage done,
Okay.
but I got the MRI 6 months after the race, like so um yeah.
Must get that checked, I think.
God
Yeah.
knows, yeah.
LA to Vegas. For people who don't know what the speed product is, and without scaring them off completely at this kind of race, what is this speed product and how are you going from LA to Vegas?
So the Speed Project is an ultramarathon from LA to Vegas and you do it in teams. So I thought it was only teams of 6, but you can do it in a team of any size, I think. We did it in a team of 6, 3 boys, 3 girls. One person has to be running at all times. So 2 feet are on the ground from LA to Vegas at all times. And yeah, it's basically an ultramarathon relay race.
How'd you sign up for it?
How do you sign up for it? It's so secretive, isn't it?
Yeah, when we first
No.
heard about this, we've done 300 episodes of this thing. This was by far, like in terms of signing up for a race, the most bananas thing we ever heard of.
Yeah.
And we just like, how do we like? I never felt so out of the loop of a race in my life because I never heard about it.
But
And
it's
the
intentionally
secrecy
like
and
that. It's
yeah, but
intentionally like that. So that's
like,
the
how
whole
did you get
brand.
involved in it? Like, how are you like? This is I need to get involved in this secretive race that I don't know where I'm going. I was getting sent to. Like, what is the appeal in it for you?
So I saw it on Instagram over the years. I saw Mary McCarthy do it with Lululemon. I saw a few people do it before her and was like, that would be so cool to do. Never thought it would happen. Basically my friends in London are building a race company called Art Project and they do like one event a quarter and they're trying to build a brand and one of them just through networking, like it's just who you know, he basically knew the people that ran it just from trying to like research for their own brand and then he basically just asked like can we have the link, then you apply and the questions are quite deep um it's not just a normal race application, you have to kind of give your reason why you would ever want to do something like that and then they decide who they want to take part. But yeah, that's how I got into it anyway, through my friends in London.
Sean, we're never getting in. The minute they fucking listen to a single episode, that's it. We're ruled out.
Nah, we're done. Now, me and
Ah.
Eric drove it nearly. We went
We
from
did
San
drive it.
Diego
You were
to
asleep
San
for
Diego.
half of it.
Well,
Oh, very good.
well, not really, man. Compared to what you did, it's not very good at all. Like,
That's not very good at all.
we got nervous in November. You're going up the fucking Death Valley nearabouts,
Valley.
and it's like you get to. Is it like you have to turn off your AC because of I'm not
Overheating the engine. Yeah.
I didn't do engine. I failed engineering, so I'm not too sure exactly how that works. But like it from the bits I was awake on, it seemed fairly fucking hilly. How did you approach that? Were you out for 10 kilometers at a time? Did you go 2K sprints? What way did you approach it?
So we didn't want to spoil the entire experience, just having to race it. Like, I think there was another team here from Ireland. They kind of raced it and they did really well. We wanted to, like, you pay to be there. It's not as if we were with the brand or anything that we're kind of forking out for us. So we want to just enjoy the experience.
Yeah.
But we were doing like 1 mile repeats, and so that's like 1.6k. And then during the first night, 2 of the girls got injured, so there was 4 of us. So so we had to increase the distance to like 10k up to like 18k so that we would get some kind of sleep. And the hardest part of the whole thing was the sand. Like, you're just inhaling, even with the buff, you're still inhaling sand. And if you've got asthma or anything, slightly wrong, you're kind of screwed. It was so hard to breathe. Like, I've never experienced anything like it before. But apart from that, incredible race. I would recommend, if you can do it, like, it's unbelievable.
Apart from the whole hard to breathe, good crack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good crack, though.
Haven't sold it to me there, Megan. Sold it to me there now. But it is something that has become, although it is a secret society as such, it is becoming more popular. We've had the guys on talking about their experience where they were trying to race it in France with their 1Ks on and trying to keep momentum. It is a great concept, but like that, it is sporting tourism. So what was the enjoyable element in between the 18Ks and the sleeping and not breathing and all of those things?
Just the crack in the RV, just the people that you're with doing it. Like, you come in and you're getting handed a frozen Capri Sun and like just eating jellies and dry bagels, and like there's just so much innocent fun in the whole thing. So yeah, it's all about the people you're with, and you just have to make sure that you're with a good crew, because you're living on top of each other for 2 days nearly.
Jeez.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was the total distance covered by everyone, and what did you do individually over the 2 days?
I think the total distance was like 550, and myself, so I did 103k, and I think the boys did similar, and then the girls maybe were 70, 80, 90 maybe. I'm not sure.
Would you do it again?
Oh,
I wouldn't be one to repeat races. Once I've kind of done something.
Diplomatic answer. I like that, Megan.
I've done it, but if you need someone on your team, sure, when you do it, I'll happily do it.
Yeah, if we get a link in the post, we'll consider it. If they send the old smoke signals, we might pick up on them, Sean, huh?
I'm going to change topic a little bit. Megan, a couple of weeks later, after 103 kilometers, I know we're coming up to the hour. I do want to talk about some of the stuff you're doing with Club Soul, but just before that, a few weeks after doing this, you're after doing 103 kilometers. You could barely breathe doing going through it is near Death Valley, I think. Going across from LA to Vegas, you find yourself in one of the biggest marathons in the world, London, the London Marathon. And not only do you do London, you get a PB. I'm not too sure how you're walking after doing the 103 kilometers and have any idea of thinking about doing a marathon. How was that experience and getting the PB and the London Marathon? How does that rack up to running the Alps, running across France, running across LA to Vegas? How does the London Marathon compare?
London was incredible, I guess. Like, when you're putting them all so close together, maybe it is wiser to spread them out, but I can't. Like, I just don't slow down and say yes to everything. So yeah, London was absolutely unreal. you're running through just a barrier of sound of like cheers, and it's just like a street party, like from start to finish. Really hot day. Didn't get, like, I was aiming for sub 3:29, and I think I might have had it in me, but just didn't happen, and it was fine, like the world still spins when we don't get our targets. But it was, yeah, such a special race, and seeing all the charities and why people were running too, it was unbelievable. But yeah, it was 3 weeks after LALV, so yeah, I don't know. I was just glad to get
Yeah,
it
that was
done.
good. That was good. That was a good taper. Fair play, Megan.
Yeah.
And looking at that, obviously, Sean has mentioned your next club project. What's that? What's this all about?
Oh, Club Soul.
Hmm.
So that is so I've got a community obviously on Instagram and TikTok, and Club Soul is like the in-person side of it. So the reason I started any of it was like just to help people, like feel less alone in whatever they're going through. And Club Soul is just events. So we do hikes, sea dips, sauna sessions, and like I had a run club when I was in London. But yeah, now it's in Ireland, and our next event is going to be like a surf retreat.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it's just for people to come and meet up and, don't know, just like be together.
Can it be in a true Megan soil? We can't swim or surf, but we can still show up and give it a go.
Yeah, absolutely. Beginners welcome.
Don't be roping me in now, Eric. You know what I'm
There
out
you
of the
go,
water.
What, Sean? If you like one
I've
of
got
those
some YouTube videos to
deals.
watch first before I learn how to surf and swim properly, and then if I get through them in a while, get a few links off Megan for that, I'll be a pro.
Megan, how can people follow along, keep in touch, get involved in the community?
So if you're looking for Club Soul specifically, it's in my bio, and that's at Soulfully Ginger, not Sophie Ginger, which I get all the time, Soulfully Ginger. So yeah, I'm on Instagram mainly and TikTok, and just in the link you can find everything.
Brilliant, Megan. Absolutely phenomenal. Listen to you from the last hour. A little bit scared now to just jump into half marathon 28 days, half Ironmans on 28 days notice and everything else, and some of the mad stuff you've done. But it is absolutely phenomenal. Listen to your story so far. I must add to that, because you've done a lot, and it looks like you're really only getting started somehow.
Yeah, just scraping the surface. Next up is getting a racing wheelchair, because we did Dublin Marathon, but we used my dad's like normal wheelchair, and I think Dublin Marathon are not happy with that because they changed the rules. Anyway, sorry, that's a massive assumption there.
No.
Next up,
Go ahead.
No,
Go
we're in
ahead.
now.
We're
Hold
in
on.
now. No, we'll add time to this
So-
episode of the podcast. Keep going there.
Yeah, I'm getting
What
comfy
happened
here,
there?
Megan.
no, so I
Hold
just
on.
decided one day
Did
that
this all stem because you started this saying your dad in a wheelchair since this period that got you into running?
yeah, so my dad lives in a wheelchair. He is disabled, so can't walk, can't stand up. So anyway, I just thought one day, you know what, we'll get him involved and we'll do a marathon, get him into the 1% club. So I didn't really think it through. Like, I just thought, sure, we'll go for a walk and I can push him. So like, what's the difference in pushing him around a marathon? Anyway, it made sense when we're standing on the start line, and all these other wheelchairs were proper racing wheelchairs, and I was thinking, what have I done? What am I doing? But we did it anyway, and then I tried to then apply this year again, and they replied like, have you got a proper running wheelchair? Like, can you send us the spec? So yeah, that's next. I'm trying to source one from a company up in Lisburn. But yeah, so that's the next challenge, is to run with it, I think, in Dublin this year.
And how is your dad with being pushed around in every apparatus, and does he like being involved with you? Are you getting to find that magic out of the two of you? Is he, obviously your passion, and he's getting to come with you on the journey?
Yeah, to be fair, I didn't give him much choice with Dublin
Yeah,
the first year.
this is what I was trying to get at. It was like, did he have a say?
No,
It was just like,
and
all right,
you know what?
along,
He
4 hours,
said
okay.
to me, I kind of thought we could have maybe done a bit more training, but he said to me in the hotel afterwards that it was the best day since his accident. So he loves it, really. He just doesn't
Yeah.
act like it. But
Yeah.
no, we're going to do proper training this time, and he can push, because the last time he was just taking in the scenes. So we push him.
He's dead right.
Maybe we'll
Absolutely.
get competitive too. Who knows? These families and all with the wheelchairs, watch out. We're coming. We're
Yeah,
coming
yeah,
onto
yeah.
the scene.
We'll give him the packed lunch so we can take in the scenes for next year, and he'll enjoy it. We'll get the fresh hot cup of tea just to warm him up and let you do all the work. Do many people do this run with you, Megan, or is this a soulfully solo journey with you and your dad?
I don't know. I'm thinking about getting more people involved. There's so many runners, like even in the town, and some of his friends that might get involved too. So no, I think it would be good to get more people just for the crack. Like it doesn't have to be so serious.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Some of those crews seem to have great crack doing it. And I don't know
Yeah.
how they're
Yeah.
pushing a wheelchair and having so much fun. I'm like, it did make me feel bad for suffering along one of the Phoenix Park and they're passing me out and they're having great crack. I'm like, I'm not doing something right here. I should be enjoying myself a little bit more here instead of just suffering from a big city facing me.
Yeah, no, they do. And the fancy dress and stuff. So
That's deadly.
yeah.
Well, tell him if he wants a longer day out. There's ways of doing an Ironman as well.
Oh yeah.
No, Eric, no.
Don't tell my mum.
Yeah.
No, we'll stick with fun sport for now. Well, yes, that.
Well, I'm just going to let that one fester with Megan and see how long that one takes. This is an experiment I'm running. Just to see how it
A
goes.
dangerous experiment.
Megan, thank you so much for giving us. We are up on the hour. You have a lot on your plate. You are busy. We probably didn't even touch into the science and the masters and everything else you do to make the sport so great. But thanks so much for giving us your time and sharing your stories. It's great to see what you do, and we do hope we will see you for a run in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Would love to. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you, Megan. And that is it for this week's episode of the Any Given Run Day podcast. Myself, Megan, and Eric. Take care.